We are back. Left at 7 AM this morning. It's now 5:14. Holy, that was a big trip. I am bugging. Now, for the reveal, you've probably guessed it already and don't know what I'm going to title this, but it's an XF Falcon Ute. And you're probably wondering why I bought an XF Falcon Ute. Let's go check it out. For starters, brand new tyres. The rims are pretty cool. Suspension and everything's been upgraded. Heavy duty suspension to hold the engine that's in it. The whole drivetrain has been upgraded. It's got certificates, it's got petrol and gas. And yeah, so if you've watched my other videos, you're probably well aware that I got an XW sedan. And this will bolt directly straight into that XW with all upgraded parts. So this is the reason why I got this ute. This one is in fact a V8 and it's been registered and it's got the mod plates and paperwork and all those upgrades for that V8. You don't generally have XFs with V8s unless they've gone through all this, progression to get the mod plates and whatnot. Would you look at that? 351 Cleveland. Thermo fans. It's a worked engine. The guy I bought it off had the heads off. It's oversized pistons. Top end's been done. New head gaskets. It's got the gas set up as well as petrol. But petrol's disconnected. Part of the rules where it can only run on gas if it's in this car. So it's running on gas at the moment and it is running on fumes, so to speak. So I'm going to get it off the trailer and then see if it's a real 9-inch diff. So there's only one pretty good way I know how to test that. But this is it. Pretty happy with this. Very good bargain I got this car for. Happy about it. Thanks, Brett. Appreciate it. And yeah, so this is going to be donation to that car down there. So if anybody's looking for an XF that can have a V8 and you've always wanted one, shout out, because I'll be selling the body. I've got no use for it after, so email me if you want to purchase this beauty. The tailgate's munted, but the rest of the body's pretty well good. Just delamination of the paint here, it's just been flaked off. So it'd need a respray, but that's just surface rust. And you can see the tailgate's all tinted up and it's got rust in it. But the rest of the car is pretty damn solid. You can see it's the right side, left side, not too bad. Pretty straight. So yeah, I'm bloody excited. I'll get this ute off and then I'll start it up. Alright, so there's definitely timing needs to be done. I'm getting about 3,000 RPM. And as I said before, it's running basically on empty, so it's not getting full RPM. Yeah, okay, it needs some tuning, a lot of tuning. It's good for about 1500 to 2000 RPM, then just dies. It cuts out, so it's not getting fuel. So I'm gonna have a play with this tomorrow and see if I can get it tuned up properly to gas. Otherwise I might take the tank out and just flush it, clean it all and redo the fuel system and just put it back to petrol, because I'm not running gas on the XW, no way. Too many compliance plates and stuff. So yeah, take two tomorrow. We'll go through it again because that was pathetic. Good morning, legends. We're back on this XF now in the morning. As I said yesterday, it was running good down low, but it's just cutting out at 2000 RPM. what I'm going to do today is do a compression test on it first things first, to make sure nothing bad is at play here, see if it's all within spec, which won't tell me the ratio, but it will give me an indication on, you know, what PSI we're running on each cylinder. Plus it's a good health check for the engine. So just a tip, just get your air blower and blow around all the plugs inside the ports near the cylinders first, because it's pretty easy they always gunk up with crud and everything in there. So just clean that out as best you can to prevent anything contaminating the cylinders. So let's get into it. Okay, I found my mic, so it should be a lot clearer now. I've just got to practice speaking clear. Okay, I've got everything cleaned up. I've disconnected the gas mixer solenoid power, so it won't introduce gas. I've also taken off the rotor button, so it won't get spark, just for the test. So I don't want it to be shooting fire outside the cylinder spark plug holes. Alrighty, so I'm going to start. I've started on number 4 cylinder, so that's where I've started. I've got my little tally board here. I'm going to go through and do 2 tests on each. I'll just show you on the first one. I don't think we have high compression, but yeah, I don't know what is normal for a 351 Cleveland. So that's at 125 PSI. So I've seen a lot higher on YouTube videos, but yeah, we'll see if it's abnormal or not. Maybe got a loose connection, but we'll go through and just check them. Okay, so I've done all that. Spark plugs are back in, cleaned. I re-gapped them because a couple of them were way out. And I've hooked the leads back up in order. And then I've just put the rotor cap, put the rotor button back in. Rotor cap's down. The gas system's hooked back up. So before we continue on with anything, what I like to do is double check and make sure it's going to run and, you know, back to what it was before. So there's no more variables. We got a good starting point for the fuel system. And I also need to do timing next to see where the hell that's sitting. So let's see if it starts. Bit cold. It runs, which is good. Nice quiet engine. See how that just cuts out? See that? That's flat to the floor. I think it's fuel. Let's have a play with the gas first before we take it all off. Sounds good, but doesn't it? It's not getting RPM. It could be a faulty coil, but it's weird that I hold it flat, it dies completely, and then it picks up a little bit. It's like, I think it's gas, the gas mixer or something. I don't know how to adjust it or whatever. That's why I was just going to bin it. And to be honest, a lot of you are probably thinking like, why are you getting rid of it? Why are you getting rid of gas? It does burn cleaner. It's cheaper to buy, but it's not as cheap as it used to be. And the way I look at it is like miles per gallon or Ks per 100 if you're in Australia or America. I've been reading that it's about 200 to 300 kilometers per 65 liters of gas, which is terrible, right? Like, that's pretty bad. Whereas you get maybe 600 to 700, depending on your driving, on 65 litres of petrol, maybe 600 litres, don't know yet, all depends, but roughly it's half the economy on gas, but it's half as dear, so technically you're not saving anything. The only thing that's going to introduce is getting certification on the gas tank. You have to get that certified every 5-10 years. I can't remember what it is, and it's just all this extra crap on, and yeah, I'd rather just rip it all off and just go back to petrol. Nice and easy, simple. Also, I'm going to run the timing light on and see what timing we're running, because that dizzy is actually loose. It's not going to stop it from doing that, like it's not going to stop it from revving, but it'd be good to just lock it down, you know, a certain degree. Plus, I know that there's the recurve and timing adjustments for gas, so if I just stick to petrol, it'll be easier. And I'm back. I've got it running on petrol. I had it run on petrol just by filling up the carby bowl and starting it that way, and it runs so much better. So it must have been gas supply. Anyway, new problem, fuel pump, mechanical fuel pump that was on the engine, no good, which I half expected after sitting there sat for 10 years, by the way, this car. But even before that, running on gas, just dry pumping that diaphragm, don't know. So anyway, I found up my old one that I had in my storage for the last 10 years, and I've just had it apart, and it's a aftermarket one, like a bit better one. The rubber's good on it, diaphragm's good, but it wasn't pumping or sucking through the bottom. And this is like the one-way check valves for inlet and outlet, and there's a little rubber o-ring that goes in the bottom that squeezes against that inlet there, like that, but it's rock hard, the rubber, so it's just pushing past there, not actually pushing into here, creating a vacuum and suction. So I'm just going through my little o-ring kit and see if I can get something similar that will fit for now. Long bloody story short, the second fuel pump I took an hour and a half to rebuild, doesn't work either. So I've just primed the bowl and I'll show you, see what it sounds like on petrol. I haven't done the timing yet, and this key's bloody shit. See, it sounds pretty good. Definitely running better on petrol. I need to go to town and get a fuel pump. I actually probably go to town and then take 3 days to order one in, and then wait till it comes in and then get one. It's been about a week or so since I last spoke to you guys. We have received the mechanical fuel pump, so I've just installed that, and I've just run some hoses out, and I'm just going to run a little roadkill style bottle on the front just so we can get the timing done and tuning. So that's going to be the main thing. We got it running, but it doesn't seem like it's picking up the fuel. I'm getting fuel pressure here from the fuel pump, but inside there, so I'm assuming it's all gunked up, and that needle and seat's probably never been cycled in the last 10 years, so it was a bit stiff when I first played with it, but it's bit more free of ease at the moment. I just might give it a bit of a clean out and crank it over and see if the actual petrol lifts up that bowl. See how that went. Well, it's coming out, it's just slow. I think maybe there's a gauze, or maybe there's a filter in there or something, but I might just pull all that apart, that float and assembly, and I'll just clean it all up, because yeah, it's probably full of gunk. Alrighty then, so I'd cleaned all that out. It wasn't anything to do with this. It's see, it has back pressure there. It was actually that little connecting piece. It's got 73 written on it, so it must be some sort of like reducer or a jet or a filter, but I blew it out and it was pretty much blocked. But now it's got good flow, and that good flow, in fact, that it primed this pretty well straight away and started up and started idling, so lucky it didn't have a backfire, otherwise it'd be pretty hard putting that out. But yeah, so it's running, so I'm going to put the top back on and then we can start the tuning and the timing. Alright. Oil pressure is pretty good. Alright, well that is good news. It was at idle. Well, it was bad news first. At idle, it was with the vacuum advanced here, vacuum advanced disconnected. At idle, it was at 25 degrees BTC, which was horrific. So that explains the hard start, hard cranking, because it's trying to compress and basically fire off as it's still compressing at that low RPM. Anyway, it's back at around 7-ish at the moment without the vacuum advance connected. So, and as you hit, it runs really good, 100 times better. It's running on petrol. The carb is working pretty good. I haven't tuned the carb yet, but I'll play with that once I get all this other stuff sorted. There's a big leak coming out of this accelerator pump housing. You can see that's just dripping down and filling up. So there's a telltale hole on the back, a little tiny hole there at the bottom. Telltale hole means that, like, it's a telltale that the diaphragm's leaking, same as your fuel pump and stuff like that. And yeah, it's cracked up. Long story short, we've defeated some gremlins, and it has a ballast resistor, and I had a fear that the spark was breaking down, so I've just basically disconnected that and just went straight from that point into the coil positive, so it's got full 12 volt the whole time now, and then revs it up and it had no breakdown whatsoever. So I'm going to be upgrading all this and electronic points distributor when I put it in the other car. So, but for today, we've just bypassed that. It's running straight through 12 volts when we're running it. Now I've got the bang water container sitting in here, and that should not go anywhere, hopefully. And yeah, we'll just go for a bit of a drive and see if it runs. Let's see how this thing goes. Well, there you go. It does run pretty nice actually. It sounds bloody mint. A few little gremlins there to still fix up. So it's the alternator and still a bit of a timing issue there, or something to do with the timing or spark. I think it's the coil, and carby. There's your upgraded carby. But anyway, we know it runs. It's got plenty of power. So if whoever else has driven a top loader, is it like really hard to get into gears? But I'll be doing a full overhaul on all this before I put it into the other car. So I know we've got a good baseline. Have a bloody good weekend. Thanks for tuning in. Subscribe, like, and I'll see you next time.